Hello, Rom. Welcome to a bit of a new series. This is Formula Sundays, Formula 2 mini championship. Yes, this is a new series in Formula Sundays that I take a part in. As some of you might know, I pulled out of FS Elite for reasons that I don't really fancy going into right now, but I was nothing against the league or anything. It's just that I felt unmotivated to keep doing F1. But Formula 2, it's a new thing that barely gets any attention on this game. Obviously, F2, I find it a bit better series than F1 in real life, as far as the competition and everyone being competitive is concerned. So I like F2 a lot. I've done F2 previously on this F1 2020 game back on the Xbox. And yeah, feeling excited to get this new new series going. Going into Bahrain, the format is, as you can see on the screen, once you're qualifying, going into a 50% feature race, which is 16 laps, and that's followed by the sprint race, which is 12 laps, also 50%. But once you're qualifying, I'm leaving it in the background, but obviously because it's one shot, it wasn't a good lap, so I'm not gonna bother going through the lap. Yeah, going into this race, obviously we got quite a lot of practice for this. We had a test race on Sunday, the I believe 4th of April, and we had the main race on the 7th of April, which was on Wednesday. And this series will run on Wednesday, 7 p.m. British time. But yeah, going into this race, we had quite a lot of data already to see who is going to be competitive. I'm in high tech alongside Lewis, and oh my god, Lewis is rapid. At least he was in Bahrain, from what I saw. Our time trial times were pretty equal-ish. I think he was like a tenth quicker than me or something like that. But in the especially race pace, I have no idea what was wrong with my setup because, and I'll tell this already. Um, I ran 3.5 wings for this event. Lewis ran like 1.4, and others usually, I don't know, ran like 2.7 or something. But not only compared to Lewis, but compared to everyone, not everyone, but those people that I'm going to fight in this race, as you will see later on, I had no pace. Not only in the corners, but also on the straights, and most importantly, in the traction zone. So I just was a sitting duck for everyone, basically, pace wise, and I had no clue. This was such a confusion for me, the whole race as it went on. But right now, we are getting to the end of the one shot quali lap. Ideally, you'd like to be in low 38s. But I could tell from my second split that I'm far from a 38 0 or something like that. And we crossed the line. It was pretty close to when the leader or the pole sitter crossed the line, but it was obvious that we're not going to be on pole position. And you can see Lewis, our teammate, lines up on pole position with a decent lap. I think it was a 37 something. I can't see because my dumbass is on the screen going through the delta times. I think he did a 38.0. No way, 38.2. My bad. Did Lewis. A rage quit. He's on the front row, but there's no stalling here, no formation lap in this series, so we're ready up and we get onto the grid for the lights out, as the lights are now building. 3, 4, now 5 lights in this F2 series. Lights out and away we go for the 16 laps of Bahrain. We get a decent start and we jump rage quit in the UNI straight away. We had a bit of a shocker start. Lewis leads the way. We get slightly dive bomb into turn 1. Lewis goes really deep. But we managed to set into our high-tech 1-2. We have Mika in the, I believe, calling car. Behind us in third, and Oplumshine, or as known as Toby. I've raced him in the past on Xbox as well, so I know him personally. Well, not personally, but I know him. He's now up to fourth, and time trial pace-wise, me and Lewis and Rage should be the top 3, leading the way, and Toby should be like a bit further away in fourth. But race pace-wise, I just had no pace, and this is going to be really obvious as the laps tick on as well. As Lewis in front, he's starting to pull away. Where second, and Mika is actually even slightly hanging on to us as we make a slight mistake into turn 10, which is pretty typical for me to make because I was struggling in turn 10, but in the race I was struggling literally everywhere. Because me and Lewis are in the in 1-2 positions, we have the slight opportunity to play around with like DRS zones a little bit. And basically, our thinking was if we end up in a 1-2 position, we'll try to make it work. The ourselves are going to give each other DRS if necessary to pull away from others behind. And that's basically what you're going to see later on in this race when DRS gets activated, because Mika isn't much of a threat, but the UNIs we were really afraid of, Toby and Ragequid, as they were a really strong pairing as well. And this season, as far as I'm concerned, is probably going to be high tech, me and Lewis against UNI, Ragequid and Toby. Lap 3 now, DRS is activated, and you can see right now Lewis has a gap a bit above 2 seconds, and Toby in the UNI is behind in third place with I think again 2 seconds behind. I can't see from the gaps, and you can see Lewis got a bit of a pour on exiting turn 3, and we are just like that in the DRS zone here again, but that was mainly because Lewis got a bit of a poor exit of turn 3, and yeah, we are able to get into his DRS zone for the later part of this lap and this race as well. And right now, for the two of us, it's very important not to battle and just to try and work as a team and pull away from Toby behind, because he will be a threat once he gets close to us. And Toby is a bit more aggressive driver. Like myself and Lewis, we are not as aggressive but as some drivers, but Toby, for example, and he's a good driver, don't get me wrong, but his moves can be a little bit too aggressive. I hope that it's not going to be like that for the rest of the season. But again, as you will see later on in this video, some of his moves I do find a little bit questionable, but that it doesn't matter. What does matter is we're still in this race, and it is still lap 3. And again, we are only just getting back into the DRS zone of Lewis. And this is what I was talking about. We have no pace, literally nowhere on this track. I think the only place where I was gaining time on everyone was turn 14 exit, and that was about it. But fortunately, we have DRS of Lewis, and we now cut into lap 6 because nothing happened. Lewis pulled into the pits, and we decided to carry on an extra lap, and we have Toby right behind. But this is where things started to go a little bit wrong for us. You see, prior to this race, I actually went out to get some batteries for my controller, because for those who don't know, I use a controller to drive on F1 2020, and I use it wireless, so I have batteries in it. And I was thinking to myself before the race, like, I need to make sure that I'm not going to run out of batteries, because I have ran on that set of batteries for quite a long time. But what I did was I forgot to change the batteries coming into this race. And you can see from the mirror, Toby's all over our gearbox, so he's getting pretty terrifying behind us, as he's actually trying to go for a move around the outside of turn 8, which I'm not having any of that. But I find that I'm pretty decent under pressure, and you can't really make myself, scared off the track. But what you're going to see quite soon, and actually here as well, because I included some of the clips from the voice chat, because me, Lewis, and Job were in a call together. I'm about to lose force feedback, as you can see.
Oh god, I have no force feedback.
And what this means is, going into this corner, I have no feeling of the car. We spun the car, and Toby gets dragged into the wall with us. At the time, I thought Toby had clicked me into the wall, and I was really pissed at him. But obviously, looking back at the clips, I understood that it was on me, because I lost the car due to having no force feedback, and just Toby was on, really unfortunate for him, wrong time at the wrong place. But this is not where the things, this is only where the things started going worse for us, because as you can see, right about in like a few seconds, with team radio as well, things started going really wrong.
Oh. Screen freeze. I'm getting 4 FPS. What is this? What is this? I'm getting 4 FPS. This race has gone to shit. Had to carry on.
Yeah. Now we're speeding up because we are changing the batteries of the controller. But this is basically what happened in this race. Really unfortunate for us, and we basically lost around 20 seconds. And the most unfortunate thing, we couldn't pull into the pits on lap 7 to change our front wing and also the batteries in the controller, so we had to go into AI mode. You could see there how much time we've lost to Lewis, literally around 30 seconds even, by losing the front wing, spinning out, and then having that massive screen freeze, and yeah, having to change the batteries in AI mode. We changed the tires at our front wing, we exited the pits at P10, where we should have been around 5 seconds behind Lewis. And this is now a really uphill battle that we have going for us in here. And obviously, this is not really what I wanted from this race. It was looking like a comfortable 1-2 for myself and Lewis. And now it's all turned upside down for both of us. Really not ideal for both of us, even because, as I said, we're fighting in the constructors against the UNIs, and the 1-2 finish in the feature race would have been a massive, massive point swing again already into the season. And now, basically, I have to work hard to even get into the top 8, because those who don't know the Formula 2 format, top 8 in the feature race gets reversed for the sprint race order. So basically, P8 in the feature race will be on pole for the sprint race. So that's what I'm aiming for. Right now we're 9th, because there was a Trident who pulled into the pits, and we need to get one more position. But luckily, Yopsino in front, who I was actually in call with, has a 5-second penalty, which is not lucky for him, but it's lucky for me, because if I can get within a 5-second gap of Yopsino in front, I'm going to be provisional pole position for the sprint race. But as you can see in front, Dan H has had a bit of an incident, and what he's gonna do, he reset the track. You cannot, it's not allowed in Formula Sundays to reset the track, and that really scared me. But fortunately, we somehow ghosted through each other, and this is why I did not bother to report Dan for that as well, because it didn't affect my race, and Dan had a bit of a mare of a race on his own. But now, lap 14, we are right behind Yopsino in the MP Motorsport. We are already in P8, but we want more points for the team. And again, I'm going to include some of the voice bits as well, because me and Yop and Lewis were in the voice together, and yeah, basically you can listen into what was going on in our conversation at this time.
Nice line.
Yeah, my tires are slowly giving up.
They got a better run than you, so hopefully.
And yeah, just like that, we dived down the inside into the final corner actually, and we drift a little bit wide, so Yopsino had to get off the throttle there a little bit, but we got the move done. We are up to 7, we have no penalties, and now it's basically our race home. 2 more laps of this feature race, and we should be P2 on the grid for the sprint race, again in Bahrain, and it will be 12 laps and without a pit stop, because in feature race you have to do 1 stop. At the very least, in the sprint race, you don't have to do a single stop. You can if you want, but you don't have to. But yeah, basically, this was all that the feature race had in store for us, as we're now approaching the finish line. To finish P7 in the feature race should have been a P2, should have been 1-2 for high tech, but it wasn't to be. And yeah, unfortunate, really, really disappointing. And well, I can only blame myself for being lazy. Well, not lazy, but being forgetful and not putting batteries into the controller when I clearly knew that they might run out. But Lewis won the race, so our teammates still got the win home. Holly P2 and Ragequit P3. The gap between Holly and Ragequit was actually 11 thousandths over the line, which was absolutely amazing. Mika P4, Toby P5, Mikuhan P6, and ourselves P7, Yopsino P8. But myself and Yopsino on pole, will be on the front row for the sprint race, and the sprint race is going to begin right about now, as the lights are starting to build up yet again. There's no break in between the 2 races. 4 red lights ahead of us again, and the lights out, and away we go for the sprint race. 12 laps ahead of us. We get a good start, and basically my objective was to get past Yop into turn 1 and take the lead and control the race as much as I could, even though my pace was absolutely horrific in Bahrain. But I didn't realize Yop was still trying to go around my outside or inside, I don't know which one it is, and they took a slight track extension there as well. But we got into the lead, and you can see in the mirror there's a massive, massive battle going on into turn 4, and basically our job now is to stay as far away as possible for that. I think someone spun into the wall actually there, but I don't know who it was. It doesn't really matter for us. Mika is now second, and there's a massive, massive cluster behind. I think it was Toby, I don't know, actually accidentally spun someone around as well into the assist, but it doesn't really matter for us anyway. Lewis is in that goggle of cars as well, and he's doing his damn best to get through nice and safe as well. As we're now to the end of that one, because nothing really happened. You can see the gap in the top left is 2.7 seconds to actually Toby So now is when things start to get a bit interesting for us, because as I said, I have no pace really compared to the UNIs and my teammates. So what I'm hoping for now is you can also see Lewis is making his way from, he was P5, now P4. I hope that Lewis can get to me before Toby gets to me, so we can again do some, play it as a team and secure 1-2 by that. We're now going to lap 6, and you can see both Lewis and Toby have got up to us, and Lewis actually, fortunately for myself, has overtaken Toby. He's now up to second, and basically now we have to play this as a team, and there is probably going to be a trial swap as well between myself and Lewis, because I know I have no I have no pace in this race, and we both, myself and Lewis, are team players. And as we're now going to the end of lap 6, Lewis is in our DRS, and he's within a striking distance of us. We said before the race that we shouldn't battle when there's other factors in as well, and well, there's a UNI behind both of us for position. So basically, I'm going to let Lewis have turn 1, but what you're going to see now is basically comedy.
Shit. Oh my god.
Sorry. I'm going for it. Oh fuck. Go, come on, drive! Go quicker! Don't go for the gap, Come on, too wide. Where is he? Is he to my left? I don't know. Or to my right? Ah!
You're fine.
I'm going for it. Can we just...
You're crazy.
Oh, it works.
So Lewis got the move done on us, but the fight is still not over, as Toby and the UNI is still trying to get it past us and go after Lewis. But right now, Lewis is in the lead, and again, we have to play this as a team more than as rivals, and we have to stay within each other's DRS and not allow Toby in the UNI to get one of us, because when Toby gets one of us, the game or the race really is over for us to get a 1-2. Lap 8 now, and Toby is still really close, and he's gaining despite our DRS to Lewis. And I think he's actually going for a move in the turn 1, which I did not expect. We actually make quite a lot of contact there, as we're now trying to fight for our P2 and the 1-2 for the team, as we're still side by side approaching turn 4. I don't think it's going to be close enough to swipe it around the outside, as we sort of cut his line off, and we don't allow him to go for switchback. But as I said in the beginning of the feature race, I believe Toby's one of those who he will go for a gap if it exists, and you've seen this already, as he's trying to launch a bit of a surprise attack down the inside of turn 8, which again, I'm not having any of that, because you shouldn't dive it down inside of there unless you trust yourselves, which, well, I wouldn't trust myself there. Nevertheless, someone who isn't my teammate. But right now, we are safe from Toby, and we're still in Lewis's DRS, as Lewis is kind of making sure that we don't drop out of his DRS, because if we do, we are basically toasted and we cannot get the 1-2. And as I said, this is really important that we play this tactically as a team, and at least, fortunately, both myself and Lewis are team players above all. So as we're going to the end of lap 8, approaching it anyway, we are still really wary of the fact that Toby is really close to us. As we cross the line soon-ish for lap 9, there's 4 laps to go to end this race. So there's still 4 laps that we have to hang on in order to get 1-2 for the team, as I'm fully expecting Toby to dive it down the inside into turn 1 yet again, but to my surprise, he opts out of it, possibly to launch a bit of a more lasting attack into turn 4. We try to get that exit as well as possible. We are still in Lewis's DRS, but you can see Toby got the run on us potentially, as well. He's not making too much of an inroads, but he's going to go for a down the inside into turn 4. We make contact tire to tire, and he actually goes for a half spin, which basically saves our race. I do not think that was my fault. I think that I left him just enough room, and that more felt like Vettel spins in 2018 for him anyway. But it doesn't matter. Now we have a gap behind, and we have actually a bit of a back marker in front who's going to dive it into the pits, so we don't have any issues with him, which is really good, as we now have 2 laps to go in this race. We don't want any problems whatsoever. in order for me and Lewis to get this one to at least in the sprint race, as we're now going to the end of lap 12, the final race, the final lap of this race, the final race of this lap, what? Anyway, exiting the final corner, Lewis will take the win in the sprint race again, as he did in the feature race, and we hang on to take P2 in the sprint race. Should have been P2 in the feature race as well, but I mean, obviously the controller and my game had other ideas. But here we go. 1-2 for High Tech, Toby in P3. Good race in the sprint race anyway, and this should have been how the feature race would have gone as well, but obviously it didn't. But it doesn't matter. We still got decent points for the team. Rage Good, I forgot to mention, had a bit of a meh this race. In the second race, I think his game lagged, and he got a drive-through in the beginning of the race, which I don't think it can be removed because he's already served it. But it does not matter, as we're going to see the end of the results. Lewis P1, ourselves P2, Toby P3. Rage could actually P4, but I do not think he's going to stay in P4 because he somehow got Mika and Yop as well when he shouldn't have. So it should be Mika P4, Yop P5, and Rage could P6. But this has been it for this video, and I hope you have enjoyed. Next one is in Sandvoort, so I hope you're going to tune into that race as well. Until that, I hope you have a really nice day or evening or whenever you watch this video. This is it from me, and goodbye.